Powerful Ptah. Powerful Ptah is one of the civilizations that have impacted today's world without us realizing it. The script they used forms the basis of all modern scripts, including Latin, Cyrillic, Arabic, and Mongolian scripts. Powerful Ptah was one of the first civilizations to rise after the flood of the world. Just remember that the flood of the world, universally accepted by historians as a true event, marked the end for civilizations of the Second Period, such as Mu, Hyperborea, or Atlantis. For a peoples who survived the flood, the Ptah civilization would have been something incredible. It wasn't just villages they were accustomed to, but a powerful civilization with dozens of great cities, a large army, and wealth that hadn't been seen for several generations. So what was Powerful Ptah? Even today we use that word. In the name of the state of Egypt, the name Ptah is still there. According to ancient Egyptian legends, the god Ptah is the god of craftsmen. Originally, he represented matter, thus representing all material and materialistic things. Today, this may seem like a bad thing to us, but back then, it was important for people. Material things allowed them not to starve. After all, food is a material thing. It was the god Ptah who allegedly led his people to North Africa after the Great Flood. At that time, the Sahara did not yet exist. Instead, there were fertile lakes and black soil that provided people with everything they needed. And who was that Ptah? We don't know, perhaps some leader, hero, or warrior. All we know is that he led his people from the places flooded by the Great Flood to today's Egypt. The land around the Nile, known in ancient times as Kemet, black soil, is the best that our planet can offer. Regular floods and associated deposits of fertile soil mean that agricultural land will never run out. Large cities can exist without ever going hungry. It was simply a civilizational jackpot. But let's not imagine ancient Egypt as we know it from history textbooks. This was a completely different civilization. Ancient Egypt will come much later. Now we are in the period around 4500 BC, 1500 years before the first, and still mysterious, dynasty of Egypt. The kings of Powerful Ptah had no names. Upon ascending the throne, they received a completely new title, which was also their name. The first of the rulers after Ptah was Ptah, son of Ptah. The second was the Lord of the River, the ruler who tamed the Nile, built many irrigation canals and used them to create regular fertile floods of the river, which continue to this day. Ptah had many technologies that would seem almost unbelievable, even magical, to us. But for example, to the inhabitants of Old Tartary, they would seem primitive. Examples include healing crystals, frequency healing, pyramid energies, healing chants, telepathy, and growing plants using energy and frequency, songs, and much more. It is also said that the Ptahs mastered the ancient art of time mind. This allows you to stop time with thought and gain more time for thinking. From the perspective of an external observer, it would appear as ultra-fast thinking. The Ptahs were not warriors. On the contrary, they valued the mind, spirit, and faith above all else. They tried to enlighten less advanced nations of Africa, Asia, and Europe. Initially, the Ptahs were welcomed all over the ancient world as teachers and priests. Today, we might best describe these teachers as shamans. These shamans traveled as far as distant Siberia, southern Africa, Madagascar, or Spain. Soon Powerful Ptah was considered so sacred and spiritual that its priests formed a priestly caste in other great nations that gradually emerged after the Great Flood. Among the nations that had priests from Ptah were New Tartary, Thule, the Mycenaean Empire, New Atlantis, and the Great Slavic Khaganate. Ptah's civilization adopted much from the culture of Atlantis, which was destroyed by the Great Flood. But what it created entirely on its own was writing. Almost all scripts in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East derive their origin from the hieroglyphs of ancient Egypt. Egyptian hieroglyphs, in turn, stem from the script of Powerful Ptah. For example, letter A, thousands of years ago, was upside down and represented a cow's head with horns. Except for the upside-down flip, it has changed very little. And so it is with many scripts. Moreover, some priests/shamans who traveled to the Eurasian steppes taught the locals not only writing but also culture, religion, and language. They laid the foundation for the Slavic language and culture in the Slavic Khaganate. As is often the case, even the culture of powerful Ptah did not escape gradual degeneration. The immutable rule of civilization is that after a golden age comes decline, and after decline comes degeneration. Even the priests of powerful Ptah succumbed to degeneration over time, beginning to use human sacrifices in their rituals, including the sacrifice of children. Religious rituals became bloodier and bloodier, until eventually, the rulers of Ptah had to start military conquests to ensure enough humans for sacrifices. However, the population of Ptah continued to decline, not only due to sacrifices but also due to general decadence. People prayed instead of making children and starting families. Over time, there were so few inhabitants of Ptah that the rulers could no longer gather a sufficiently large army and fight the wars they had unleashed themselves. Around 2600 BC, the civilization of powerful Ptah perished in flames and fire. It perished after raids by more primitive nations who had had enough of Ptah took their children and killed them in bloody religious rituals. But the evil and twisted legacy of Ptah lived on. Bloody rituals inspired by Ptah's priests were performed for thousands of years later by the inhabitants of Carthage, Canaan, Sparta, as well as the Philistines, Celts, or Proto-Germans. Whenever we hear today about child ritual sacrifices, it is a distant relic of rituals performed by ancient priests of powerful Ptah. Primitive African and Near Eastern nations, which dismantled the powerful Ptah Empire, settled in its territory, and thousands of years later gave rise to Egyptian, Hebrew, Arabic, and Sumerian civilizations in the ruins of cities. There was enough information for this video. If you are still interested in ancient civilizations, you can watch some of the previous videos or wait for more videos that we are currently producing. If you want to know more about mysteries of the universe, you can buy our latest book, The Gemstone Codex, 51 Mystical and Magical Gemstones. Link in description. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Leave a comment below, and don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified about our latest uploads. See you in the next one.